We as a population were given one skill to master so that we could fulfill our potential. And I have to say, we as a population, as humanity, failed miserably. The skill that we were supposed to master is emotions. And until now, most people have no idea what they're doing. The life is based on reactivity, on pure chaos, and is constantly just acting out from the unconscious jerks and muscle memory and old habits because we can't use our emotions in the correct way. As a result of this is a world full of wars, greed, violence, abuse, misery, depression. It's not the fulfillment of potential we were meant to manifest as humanity. And before I give you the why mastering of emotions is the most important way to fulfilling your potential, to feeling satisfied, to feeling confident, to feeling like you're doing something important with your life, feeling whole. Before I do that, I want to tell you how I discovered this knowledge, because this is what will help you understand the connection of the emotions with various parts of our life. My name is Gosia, and since I was 30, which was 2012, I received 3 initiations. It might sound like something from a movie, but it was my life. I was forced to get lessons from the area of learning about physical world, the world of the matter, which includes our body, the understanding of own identity and how you can detach from it in order to become more free, and understanding about relating to others and to the world at large. Now, these 3 initiations were actual crises that turned my life around. So the first one happened in 2020 when I became really sick. I was sick for about 2 years, where all the doctors were helpless in trying to help me. I had best specialists in London and no one could really help me. I was in so much pain that at the worst times I was considering suicide. But one day I decided I'm going to do it on my own. I didn't have much of information from elsewhere. I had to design a process for myself on exactly how I was going to do. And through doing this, I taught myself the principles of how I used to relate to my body and how emotions were the link of the physical realm with the non-physical realm, the realm of potentiality, the realm of the mind, the realm of imagination. And I healed. I healed completely within just a matter of a few months. And since then, I continued to delve deeper in understanding what made me sick, why people get sick, what is the role of the consciousness and emotions in the process of people losing so much power, weakening their life so much that they become physically sick. Realizing the power of emotions in changing the chemistry in your whole body to that extent that it can physically collapse was a breaking point for all the understandings I later built upon. In knowing that we have so much power over the material realm, not that we can control it, but we co-create things through our emotions, through our mind, through our intention, was key for me. Not only did I heal my body completely, I felt way better than ever. I used alchemizing of my emotions, and I really understood exactly how they were climbing up as I was getting better. Understood the way of belief. I understood how the belief played the role in mastering emotions. The second initiation was in 2020, not so long ago, you might say. I fell into deep abyss, what's called the dark night of the soul. The thing that was dearest to me, which was my art, that was the thing I cherished the most. It was something I could give my life for. And here is a clue. I identified with this. And that was the same time when I gave up my art from one day to another. I had literally practiced art since I ever remembered until the age of 37. I gave up what was so dear to me and what I was climbing in, being more successful around. But because of that over-identification, I broke myself into pieces. I had to delve right inside of me to that dark spot inside so that I could connect with a more authentic part of me that was just pure life, that is beyond any roles, any successes, and anything on the outside that we can produce. For many months in a row, I spent each day for many hours talking to the imagery in my head to navigate my inner world, to understand what I was as opposed to what I was trying to represent on the outside. The latest initiation, the third one, happened just in 2022. And it was in the beginning of the year when I received a dream that explained to me I was disconnected from my vital energy. I was disconnected from life itself. And I knew exactly what that meant. I was getting myself lost in a long-term relationship. And through that realization, I had a number of shocking realizations in my life, how that had been a pattern in my whole life, how I was giving myself away little by little to have nothing left inside of me. Now, this actually traumatized me. I experienced a post-traumatic stress disorder. My nervous system was literally wrecked. I could not leave the house. I was afraid of everything and everyone. Scenario, my body was getting sick again, all because of my psyche flooded itself by recognizing the patterns and being so overwhelmed by the emotions that came out of not making sense from my whole life. This is what people call a full-blown midlife crisis. Now, without going into any labels, I had the advantage of knowing so much about mind-body connection, about healing, self-healing, and about identification and losing oneself to external things. My task was to take myself apart so that I could piece myself together into the person I was designed to be. For the third time, I disconnected completely from the world. I was actually not able to do anything than go into my hermit mode to piece myself together. I had to untangle all the patterns from my life. I had to repair all that and look at all my limiting beliefs all over again to see what was holding me back. Now, the important aspect of looking at relationships is to recognizing that I was not only codependent with people, but I was codependent with the world, with the cosmos. What does that mean? Is that I was not letting be supported by the world, by trying to constantly control it and conform it to my plan out of fear, out of the lack of trust. Now, after losing this major relationship in my life, I lost a ton of money, a home, and a number of relationships that followed this one. So I was literally alone, without means to live, without a home, and sick with PTSD. That was a really great spot to be, I have to admit. Now, as I'm understanding what happened, it was that all the external means of support, potential support or dependency that I could have had fell away, so that I had to build myself from within all over again, and now more fully, with all the awareness of the past life lessons and developing this one. Now, it was really hard because I had to build home from within. I had to build self-love. I had to build all the self-trust and trust in the world, in knowing that I will be held safe. I gotta tell you, that was really hard for someone who had been struggling with anxiety for a long time, was a control freak to a major part of my life, and always tried to overdo things into being. There was no space left in my life to allow things to happen. Now that I had all the space in my life, that was the only thing I could do. I had to work myself into trusting, believing, and recognizing the divine force that its only plan is to help us fulfill our purpose. Just like a politician, I don't let any crisis go to waste. When something bad happens in my life, I know I have to pay acute attention to everything I'm thinking, because this is the time of the teaching. This is the time of me becoming a student of life, and I milk every personal crisis, every personal failure, every personal mistake that I get to realize, the pains that I'm going through, the betrayals, the disappointments. I squeeze them to the last drop so they don't have to come back and teach me anything more. I never take teachers or spiritual guides, but the few people that made impression on me were kind of turning points in my life that were like puzzles. Just like events in my life are puzzles that bring more awareness to expand exactly where I'm supposed to go. The few things that I was exposed to sometimes said just enough to leave me hungry, to search for more answers from within, to connect the dots through observing the life. And my work here is not to become a sort of guru. This is not anything I would ever want. All I want is for you to become more empowered and maybe focus on evolving your own inner core self and the connection within, so that you know that you have this inner GPS, this inner guide wherever you go, so that you're never dependent on anyone telling you what to do. That's why I believe my work is even more important at this time, where we're facing more and more control from the outside, where the governments are turning to seem way more authoritarian all around the world. And the work that I propose is that you become your own guide, that you become your own authority. This is where I'm getting back on track with why emotions, mastering emotions, is the key to fulfilling your potential. It is because emotions link the physical world, as I explained, with the non-physical world, with the invisible realm of mind, of potentiality, of imagination. Literally what you see in the world that is here, that you most likely fret about and worry about, is just a result of your previous thoughts. It doesn't determine anything in the future. And the emotions that you have, they're exactly like a GPS. They tell you by the negative feelings, when I talk about in other videos, the purpose of negative emotions is to direct you onto the right path over and over and over. Now, people misinterpret this sign as a sign to react from that. And unfortunately, we live in a world full of reactionism, where people act out on their negative emotions. That's why we see the world full of wars, greed, and imposing someone else's force onto another being comes just from insecurity. Like I said, our life is a progression and a constant development if we allow it. It's allowing us maturate and become the fullness of what we're meant to be, with the support of the events that are happening, the people that come and cross our path. And a life happens through tiny choices and big choices. Every single day we make hundreds, if not thousands, of choices, small and big ones. Choices such as what you're going to eat, what you're going to watch, who you're going to hang out with, what you're going to say to them, how you're going to react. Are you going to repeat the gossip that you heard? And bigger choices, such as a choice of job, a choice of a partner, whether you're going to have children or not. And even the habits that we live out of, the muscle memory, the unconscious movements of going through the motions every day are still full of choices. They're still unconscious choices. The fact that you're not changing something is still a choice. And you're not addressing these unaware choices every single day, and a lot of them. Now, this is the reason why using emotions in the correct way will navigate you, will redirect you to making the right choices for your life fulfillment. If you're not working on mastering your emotions and using them in correct way, what you're dooming yourself into is a life of chasing the idealized outcomes based on the wrong intention, based on the wrong feeling that you're applying into that. It always takes you farther away what's aligned for you. That's why people can't feel fulfilled. And it's not to say you can't still have great things, material things in your life. But you will start enjoying the material things in your life only when you master your emotions. Otherwise, the feeling that you get out of getting a new car or getting a bigger flat is going to be barely superficial. No recognition, no number of followers in your Instagram or no millions in your bank account will make you happy deeply and consistently. That's why we know all about the celebrities and amazing people on this planet that achieved loads, had great things, but they were miserable because they achieved all the things, material things they could get, yet they felt empty inside. This is what I call the disconnect from that life force that is constantly wanting to be expressed. And hopefully by now, if you can see how mastering your emotions is the key to your fulfilling your life's potential, and not only in that abstract term. It brings deep satisfaction, it brings health, it brings better relationships. It brings actually fulfilling a lot of material things in the way that is actually satisfying and joyous, because you're detached from them. You can only enjoy something you're detached from, really. And the correctness of the choices brings us closer and closer. Over time, you build that inner power that is literally making you feel upright. It literally makes me feel physically stronger and more upright, because I can feel all of the agreement in my body cells, in my energy, in my mind. It all agrees on the direction of the movement that I'm making in taking any choices, in choosing anything in my life. And if that's what you want, just continue watching my channel. That's all I have to share with you. This is all I wanted to share in this video. Feel free to ask any questions, leave any comments, and for now, I'll see you next time.